Lexi Hooks, and my presentation is over conflict in relations. Understanding a conflict is very important when it comes to communication. A conflict is a serious disagreement or argument, typically a protracted one. Conflict involves two or more people or groups that can think. There are two perspectives when it comes to a conflict. One is that conflict should be avoided, and the second is that it is normal for human communication. Perspective one is that conflict should be avoided. Because many people think that conflict should be avoided, they tend to not deal with their problems at all. Substantive disagreement about a specific topic or issue. Another disagreement is procedural disagreement about how a decision should be reacted or a policy should be implemented. Conflicts are only manageable and disagreement should be avoided. Perspective two is that it's normal for human communication. In order to get your point across, you have to discuss it, so you can't avoid it if you want to get your feelings hurt. Conflict helps relationships become stronger and healthier. It is also neither good or bad. Conflict can be constructive or destructive to a relationship. In order to be beneficial, both parties must agree to engage in pro-social conflict management strategies. Which perspective do you think you are? One that thinks we should avoid it, or one that thinks that we should have it to get our point across?
I think that you should address conflict because sometimes stuff can build up if you don't address it right away. What she said.
Everybody agrees? Great. Okay, so I learned this at church and it's called the XYZ formula. It's when you have a conflict with somebody and you want to address it and you don't know how to do it, you put it in this formula. The formula is when you do X, it makes me Y, and it makes me feel Z. For example, when you told me a joke about me, it makes me embarrassed, and it made me feel ashamed and like I can't trust you. So instead of going up to somebody, accusing them of doing something bad, you should approach it like this so that you're not causing a big problem and argument. Here's a video about conflict styles.
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find the platform that did.
Radios presents the 5 conflict styles. Which is yours? Conflict, no matter how you slice it, we're all at the center of it at some point. It could be with family members, friends, people you work with, and even complete strangers. But have you ever wondered why certain conflicts flare into a full-on battle, while others simply fizzle out? Well, the truth is, everyone has their own unique personality. We all handle stressful situations differently. When it comes to conflict, we tend to default to certain behaviors that reflect our personal style of dealing with it. If you want to handle conflicts more effectively and find mutually beneficial solutions, it's important to understand your own conflict style and recognize the styles of others. So let's dive in and find out where you stand. Number 1, avoiding. Some folks have a strong aversion to conflict and would rather avoid it altogether. They might downplay an issue or pretend it doesn't exist instead of confronting it head on. Now, there are some positives to avoiding conflict. It can keep arguments from happening and help maintain a peaceful relationship. It also gives people time to think about their feelings and come up with a thoughtful response. But there are some downsides too. Avoiding conflict can mean issues don't get resolved and communication suffers, and that can damage relationships. It may also create tension and make people feel uneasy around each other. And let's not forget that avoiding conflict means missing out on the chance to learn and grow from difficult situations. Number 2, accommodating. People with the accommodating style tend to be cooperative and willing to compromise to prevent conflicts. On the bright side, accommodating can help maintain relationships by prioritizing the needs and wants of others. It creates a generous and kind atmosphere that can contributes to a positive social environment. Plus, being accommodating can help develop a sense of community and teamwork, which is great for group settings. The downside is that accommodating can lead to a lack of assertiveness, often resulting in sacrificing one's own needs and desires. It can also cause frustration and resentment if a person feels that their priorities are constantly ignored. Number 3, competing. Those who display this style have a tendency to prioritize their own needs and goals over that of others. The positive aspect of competing is that it allows people to assert their needs and desires, which is important in certain situations. It can even make one seem more confident. Competing can also encourage personal growth and challenge individuals to push themselves to their limits. On the negative side, when people become overly competitive and focused on winning at all costs, it can create a sense of aggression and hostility. Number 4, compromising. When it comes to conflict, some people are all about finding a middle ground. They're flexible and open to compromise. The good thing about compromising is that it creates a sense of fairness and balance. It encourages cooperation and communication in order to find a mutually acceptable outcome. But sometimes compromising can be a bit of a bummer. People might feel like they're giving up too much, and that can leave them feeling dissatisfied. Plus, when there's too much focus on finding a middle ground, one might forget to stand up for their own needs. Number 5, collaborating. Collaborators prioritize finding a solution that works for everyone, instead of just focusing on their own needs and wants. Of course, this is often a good thing, because it leads to mutual respect and understanding, as people work together to find a solution that benefits everyone involved. It can also foster creativity and innovation, since it encourages thinking outside the box and considering multiple perspectives. But let's not forget the challenges that come with collaboration. For example, if there's a lack of trust or communication, it can be tough to find that win-win solution. And sometimes, it can be rather time-consuming to come up with the perfect plan. Hopefully, you now have a better understanding of yourself and others when it comes to resolving conflicts. It's important to know what your own style of approach is, so that you can make sure your arguments are effective and productive for everyone involved. And even though sometimes your approach might clash with someone else's, that doesn't mean you should throw in the towel. Both sides can work together to find solutions that make everyone feel understood and satisfied. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends so we can keep making them for more everyone feel understood.
And there's one more video on how to deal with conflict.
Do you know the U.S. solar company's nasty little secret? It turns out if you live in Texas, they have to.
Okay, so if you put a bunch of people together and ask them to achieve something, the chances are there will be a disagreement or two. Conflict is a natural part of working in teams, and it can occur for a number of reasons. For example, it could be a conflict caused by processes, overlapping roles, or differences in opinion. Sometimes conflicts can be caused by external influences, but of course the classic reason is interpersonal conflict. Now, when a conflict occurs, there are steps you can take to solve it constructively. The correct way would be to take a step back and ask yourself some challenging questions. Start by asking yourself, why is there a conflict in the first place? Simply by thinking about the cause of the conflict could be enough to give you the solution. It may help to write it down or discuss it with someone, but if that doesn't shed any light, then try seeing it from the other person's point of view. Best-selling author Stephen Covey uses the phrase, seek first to understand, then to be understood. By this he means if you understand the other person's point of view, then you can get your point across much easier. Finally, try to remember what's really important. What are your priorities? Is your point of view in line with the overall objectives of the team? And are you being true to your principles? Try to keep emotions out of it and keep conversations professional, but most importantly, be focused on the solution. Don't dwell on the conflict or hold grudges. Be focused on finding a win-win outcome. Although conflict can be damaging to a team's productivity, it's worth considering the upsides of conflict. Yes, conflict can have its benefits. Think about it. If ideas aren't challenged and different views aren't aired, then how do good ideas ever become great ideas? The Honda Corporation are actually known to encourage conflict in its design teams because they recognize that out of the chaos, can come great creativity. So the right amount of conflict can be good, but generally, teams working in harmony perform better. So to be an effective member of a team, you need to be mindful of why conflict occurs and the questions you can ask yourself in order to find a resolution.
Lastly, I want you to discuss for 3 minutes what conflict you most understood, what you got from my presentation, and how conflict benefits us. So I'm giving y'all 3 minutes. Please discuss. Okay guys, so what conclusions did y'all come to? About
We really like the XYZ thing, and also we all think that we should face conflict.
anything else anybody wants to add? Okay. Next, does anybody have any questions they would like to ask?
I have one. Sometimes people struggle to address conflict. What should they do?
So when you're having problems addressing conflict, well, you should definitely use the XYZ. Don't rush into an argument. Try to understand them and their point of view first, and then try to get your point across. Is there any more questions?
What if you have a conflict and they don't agree with your opinion after you said it with the XYZ?
I feel like you try to understand them at that point because you might be in the wrong. Or y'all can come to a compromise and see if y'all should be friends after the fact. Because it might just not be a good friendship. Yes. If you're both wrong, then y'all should both accept that y'all are wrong. And y'all can either continue the friendship and not let that get, ruin your friendship, or you can, maybe it might be better if y'all stop being friends. Is that all the questions?
I have one more question. So for the XYZ, what made, so you ask them why, but what if they still, after you said maybe we don't want to be friends anymore, How would you explain that to them in a nice way without creating more conflict?
I feel like if they continue to do something that you talk to them about, then it's not a good friendship. And like for the example, it's if they talked about you behind your, like in front of you and made fun of you and embarrassed you, talk to them about why that embarrassed you and why it made you feel that way. And if they continue to do it, then it's not a good friend. But if they stop, how do you tell them? Just say, hey, I don't think this friendship's working. I would love to be like like I'll be nice to you, but I just won't be hanging out with you on my own because I feel like this is toxic. Okay, in conclusion, I hope that everybody learned more from this presentation and enjoyed it, and I hope that all your questions were answered, and I really just hope you learn more about conflict and how it's very important. Thank you.